Well, good afternoon, intrepid audience. I want to thank you for being here. We normally would have this from 12 to 1. We are going to instead go from about right now to about 12:45. There is another event happening right now related to the tragic shooting that was on Saturday. It is a healing circle, and there may be some folks who want to go to that after attending this, so that's why we're ending this a little earlier than we usually would. But I appreciate you all being here. The President's Forums really are about, one, me answering questions in case people have them, but also getting folks acquainted with what's happening across the college, different areas, and in some cases, putting a face to a name, especially as we are still coming out of, the pandemic. I still run into folks I've never actually met in person, and it's wild. Like, wow, I've been here 4 years as of last Sunday, and there are people I have never met in person. Met them on Zoom or not, but so it's exciting to have people come. This is taped and available on our website, so if you interact with somebody who says, oh yes, I wish I had been at the President's Forum, just a reminder that we do have it, we do tape it and we post it. Isn't that correct, Alex Bucklehide? Yes, it is, thank God. Okay, and thank God I have him to do stuff like that. And Dave, seriously. Okay, with that, I am going to turn it over to our Vice President of Economic and Workforce Development, Salvatrice Cuomo, ABD, because she defended her dissertation proposal last week. So the end is in sight, and the adage to live by is the only good dissertation is a finished one. Because really, no one cares. As somebody who defended a dissertation, trust me, the moment that you're defending it is when your faculty are A, nice to you, and B, start saying, oh, and I really think this would be a great article. Like, really? Because for the last 2 years, this is in red pen, oh, finally a good point. The point is just get through, only good one. And by the way, I did publish part of my dissertation, so the joke was on her. But we're excited for Salvatrice to be this close to finishing. And but in the meantime, she has this little job that she does that she's going to talk about all the little tiny details of her job and what is involved. So with that, Salvatrice.
Thank you. I'm super grateful to be standing right here and being allowed an opportunity to share with you what the Office of Economic and Workforce Development is all about, the team, the programs, and I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge the team, in the group, starting with Elaine Chapman, Director of PCC Extension, Donald Lowell, our Director of the Small Business Development Center, Leslie Thompson, our Director of Operations for Economic and Workforce Development, and of course, Jackie Javier, who is our Interim Career Center Director at the moment. And then, of course, Dr. McKeegan, who you'll hear from in this presentation, the Chair and Assistant Vice President of the Los Angeles Regional Consortium. So with that, let's get rocking and rolling. EWD was formed in 2018, and we set forth a vision for EWD. When I say formed, it doesn't mean that economic and workforce development didn't exist. It just meant that it was reorganized and restructured a little bit tighter in 2018 when I onboarded. And so we quickly came up with a vision statement for us as a team of one. And it was to be the catalyst in identifying, creating, and delivering services that promote the growth and prosperity of business, to develop the current and future workforce, and to elevate the college's economic profile in the region. And that's a super bold statement for us, especially since, when we started, you'll see in just a moment that when we opened the Division of Economic and Workforce Development, it was really two very small programs. Who do we serve? We serve these individuals, these stakeholders, students, faculty, employers, and government. And before we build any programs, we really ask ourselves the question of how will they benefit? How will it be delivered? How will the programs be delivered? And of course, how do we measure success? And that constant iteration of evaluation and analyzing our work is what sets our economic and workforce development departments apart from other colleges, because yes, it's important for us to measure, but are we taking a moment to say, well, we have to scratch that and we have to do things a little bit differently? Are we meeting the current demands and needs of our students, our faculty, and our employers and our government? And what does that look like? To ensure that our stakeholders are served well, our team established very, very specific goals. And this was a team effort actually most recently that I'm super proud about. And if we encounter an idea or an opportunity and it doesn't align with any one of these 6 goals, then it's not a match for us. And it's okay to say that, because we can't be everything. But we want to make sure that, again, what we delivered can be measured and can be evaluated for future growth. The goals can also be shared across all departments. So if you look in Elaine's department or Dawn's or Jackie's, et cetera, these themes and the goals of will be identifiable and noticeable in their programming. The first goal, to connect PCC learners with industries, resources, and network that will guide them through the career entry and advancement. The second one, to provide upskill career training and support for the employers of our business community. The third goal is to build high-quality, equitable, on-the-job training in high-need industry sectors that help build a strong regional economy. The fourth is to support entrepreneurs and businesses to create growth that fuels job creation. The fifth is to unify our stakeholders just mentioned and bring forth trends, forecasts, and reports that allow for the expansion and enrichment of our programs. And lastly, to design services that intentionally increase access and reduce barriers for underserved communities. I do have to say, our team, I can confidently say, and I'm going off script now because my team's in front of me, but what I'm super proud about the Economic and Workforce Development Division is our team really does take these goals super seriously. And our team is dedicated to growth, is dedicated to evolving, and dedicated to the mindset of constant improvement. And that's really the only way that we will truly serve our communities. If we're kind of stuck in this way of like, well, we've always done it this way, and well, this program in the past hasn't worked. Well, it may not have worked in the past, but it may work now because the dynamics are different. The landscape is different. The needs are different. The requests are different. And it goes on and on and on. But I can confidently say that I'm super proud of this team because they are always in a constant state of improvement. It's a heavy slide. It's a heavy slide. We're going to sit here for a minute. We are not going to race through this. But I intentionally left it this way and didn't break it up into pieces because I wanted to give you kind of the overall view of the programs and initiatives that fall under the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. We are both inward-facing and outward-facing. So what does that mean? Our programs are intentionally designed to work both with our students and faculty, for example, directly with instruction, directly with student services, and then outward-facing with our employers and government through economic development agencies, chambers of commerce, et cetera, and other development agencies that are escaping me at the moment. In 2018, I want to just kind of take you through a journey. I'm going to take you through the journey of 2018 till now. And again, when the EWD division was reimagined and reorganized, immediately the college put two very important pillars of the Economic and Workforce Development Division. First was the oversight and the administrative oversight of the strong workforce funds. And right now we are currently under 2 rounds, and these are state categorical funding that allows us to create better CTE programs, better career programs under CTE, internships, work-based learning, et cetera. And so right now we're operating under 2.8 million, and that's our current allocation for both rounds. And it's important to note that right now we oversee the local and the regional strong workforce funds, but it's not just oversight of funding. It was really a moment for us in 2018 to be a neutral party to a strong workforce, in that we established the formality around the programs, about how an equal playing field for faculty to submit applications and access funding so that it can be reviewed and scored and allocated by the committee. And it was to formalize the process on how the strong workforce funds were shared with our divisions, with our instructional division. The Small Business Development Center that offers one-on-one advising and basically all-around technical assistance to entrepreneurs and business owners, who, by the way, are PCC students and outside of PCC as well. They have an annual operating budget, their state and federal funds, of about $710,000. Fun fact, I was brought in 2014 to open the SBDC, and we had a whopping $75,000 to operate in it. I was like, that doesn't even cover my salary or benefits. But what was I going to do? So we aggressively went campaigning and raised money. And then the state got involved and was really looking at the SBDCs as their savior to the health of our business community. Also in 2018, we said, look, we have these 2 programs, but we really need to be focusing our attention on advocacy and outreach, because in the long run, this will benefit us. We needed to position PCC as a thought leader in economic and workforce development. And in order to do so, we had to tell our story. We had to tell the story that already existed and because there was beautiful things happening at PCC. Some of it just wasn't shared. And so for us, it gave us an opportunity to say, how do we rebrand, workforce development? How do we develop an advisory committee for EWD? Let's think about newsletters, podcasts, social media. Let's think of all the channels and vehicles that we have access to be able to position this college, and it's going to suit us well, and it did. Fast forward in this presentation, you'll hear in a minute, and it suited us well, because we said, look, we're already doing this stuff, and so here's how we're doing it, and we want to make sure that we highlight the successes of what is already happening and where we want to go. Then in 2019, 2 things happened. The college asked us to formalize career services. And the college made a bold decision in shifting the career services, from student services to economic and workforce development. And that was very, very strategic. Intentional, strategic, and worth the move, and the envy, we're also the envy of all colleges, because we have our career center under EWD, and it's intentional in that career services is not just counseling. It's a very important element, absolutely, but it's not just that. It's about the holistic approach on how we prepare our student for the workforce. Whether it's for a job, whether it's to a quick little informational interview or a placement and internship, the Freeman Center does offer that holistic approach to nurturing and guiding the student through that process. And I'm really, really proud of that. We first started, believe it or not, with an Office of Work-Based Learning. In fact, Jackie was hired at the time to run the program, And again, there was already some wonderful things happening in internships, but no one was telling the story. And it wasn't centralized, we didn't have a process, and most importantly, and was very alarming to us when Jackie onboarded, was that we were out of compliance. And that was a big deal. So very quickly, the formation of the Office of Work-Based Learning focused its attention on, yes, programmatic work, but also just ensuring that the college was in compliance with handbooks, MOUs, site visits. There were many times where we had to say no to employers because upon the site visit, we're like, this is not a safe environment for our student. So there was a lot of work that was built up to that, and the team was built in 2019 for both the work-based learning and for the Freeman Center. And if you're wondering why Freeman Center, it's because our friends over at the foundation help us allocate some money, help us find some funds, and we presented to the donor, and the donor really appreciated the vision and thought that this vision would be appropriate for the community and wanted to see it at scale. And so the birth of the Robert G. Freeman Center for Career and Completion was born in 2019. In 2020, PCC Extension, a long-standing department here at PCC, was shifted from, I'm not sure, where were you at, Elaine? Were you in the non-credit? Yeah. You were under non-credit, and it was shifted under Economic and Workforce Development. Extension is a not-for-credit arm of the college, and that was intentional too. And it was intentional in that the synergies that happen in Elaine's shop, yes, there's enrichment courses, but there's also workforce training that we're going to lead to in just a hot minute. And the vocational rehab that is conducted there, and the contract ed, parts of contract ed is also kind of lives there a little bit too. And so we said at that point, we're like, great, Extension is here. How do we now formalize workforce training? And this is where Leslie and her work in really building the structure and the formality around specific trainings for our employers. And these are customized trainings. These are what we call contract ed. And there's various ways you can do that through ETP funds, through private, transactional, I want this training, I'm going to, whatever. But what it brought to light for us too is that our policies were outdated. And so in order to do so, we had to update our contract education policy so that we could appropriately and legally work with our employer groups. And lastly, our newest pillar here at the EWD is the Los Angeles Regional Consortium. Fast forward, we're doing all this work, we're growing, we're thought leaders, we're doing all the stuff, we're doing all the things, and we were granted the ability to be the fiscal agent and lead for the Los Angeles Regional Consortium, and their budget is $145 million. Now that doesn't mean that RNA operates under $145 million, because that would be awesome. We'd have a staff of 100, and that would be fabulous. But what that really means is, of that 145, and she'll go into the budget in just a minute, but what that means is the majority of those funds is, again, we act as the agent and the oversight, and we're disseminating those funds to K through 12 and community colleges. See, I told you we wouldn't be there too long. Our leadership, these are the celebs that live in our division. Most of them are here today. You can certainly learn more about each of those areas on our website at pasadena.edu/EWD. And I have to tell you, not because they're my team, again, but I have to say they're the hardest working, dedicated, most supportive team I've ever had to work with in my career. And I'm honored to have them on my team. And it's evident by their work, and it's evident by what they produce here for the college and their care and concern for the student and our employers. And I thank them very, very much. Makes my job much easier and enjoyable. So, EWD, our celebs are known to chat. We love connecting with all of you. And we intentionally do this connectivity and engagement with our internal colleagues as well as our community partners. It's very, very important. So we put out annual economic and workforce development reviews. You'll see dating back to 2017, even though I'm not responsible for 2017, but we did showcase that because it was part of a funding cycle, all the way up to the most current academic year, or excuse me, past academic year 21-22, because we're currently in 22-23. You'll have access to our Pulse newsletter. If you haven't signed up, please do. This is where we share out forecast trends, highlights, meeting new people, letting you know what is happening in the world of economic and workforce development and why it matters. And not only why it matters to this institution, but why it should matter to you. The Future of Work podcast was something that we tinkered with, and we didn't know where it was going to go. But we have a stellar following. Lizzie, I don't know if you know the stats off the top of your head, but sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot there. What? Are you awake? It's all right. But the podcast ended up being something super special to us. It opened up doors. It actually got us in the doors to the major employers that we had a hard time getting to. And bringing those employers back to the college and back to our division as well as the region was really important to us. Our Future of Work conference, that's held annually. You can look at all the recordings starting with 2019, and then lastly our socials, our handles at PCC EWD. Up next, so that was kind of, again, broad strokes, what EWD is all about. I am happy to go into detail about each one of those pillars with the assistance of our directors and our leaders. But we really wanted to spend some time in the remaining time that we have to talk about the Los Angeles Regional Consortium as one of our newest pillars to the Economic and Workforce Development Division. And I want to kind of set the stage a little bit before, as Narine is preparing herself and coming up to the stage, to the podium, is that in 2021, the Chancellor's Office put out it's called a Regional Collaboration and Coordination Grant. It was an RFA that really supports the work of regional consortiums. And the Los Angeles Community College CEO had a desire, they had a strong desire to separate from Orange County because before we were combined, LA and OC. And it was intentional that we wanted to separate for a number of different reasons, right? Like LA's huge, we're our own little country basically. And it really kind of allowed us to accurately fund projects, to accurately create innovative programs, and really to kind of leverage some money that was left on the table at a county level, because being a combined consortium, we weren't able to do that. So with the combination of Erica's strong leadership in economic and workforce development and the growth that we were experiencing, and our involvement in state work, regional work, local work, again, PCC was now positioned very well because we were viewed as thought leaders in the space. And so that's, Erica did her thing with the CEOs, and sprinkled the dust and the magic, and it all worked out. And the LA CEOs felt very confident in supporting PCC as the fiscal agent for the Los Angeles Regional Consortium and housing them. And so that's when Leslie and I got to work very, very quickly. We only had 3 months to put together an application. And what's really important about that is that the vision of and the infrastructure model, and the structure of the Los Angeles Regional Consortium was not birthed from the brains of Erica, Salvatrice, and Leslie. It was birthed from us asking the questions and to the field, asking our CEOs what their thoughts and ideas were, asking faculty, asking the deans, asking our students. And so we had these listening tours that we very quickly did in less than 3 months, and then formulated an application and submitted it. And so with that, fast forward, LARC became official in January of 2022. We are in January of 2023, so we are just about a year old, and we hired our chair of the consortium to lead this work that we promised and that we started. And she's been very, very busy, to say the least, this last year, really kind of implementing the infrastructure. And with that said, I welcome Dr. Narine McKeegan. My PowerPoint is really quick. Oh, I got it. You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Narina McKeegan. I have the privilege of being the Chair Assistant Vice President for the Los Angeles Regional Consortium under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Jonas and Salvatrice. I am so honored today to be able to share what the consortium is about. I'll give you a very high-level overview of who we are and the governance structure and the outputs expected based on all of our work. So as you know, LA is one of the most dynamic economies. We are home to more than 10 million residents across 4,700 square miles with 88 incorporated cities. So we're large and we serve a large population of residents. As our lives get back to a full gear after the pandemic, Los Angeles is back on track to lead the state's economy from cutting-edge technology to clean sources of energy. The Los Angeles Regional Consortium was established in January of 2022, as Salvatrice mentioned, to be the central hub for LA County's 19 community colleges and to serve as a single point of entry for emerging and high-growth industries looking to partner with our network, recruit our community college students, and to place them in employment. Oh, it worked. Perfect. So we are LARC, 19 community colleges with one mission. LARC is the collective voice of all of our 19 community colleges, as you could see listed there, with the goal of really bridging the gap between LA County's workplace and workforce. LARC is a one-stop hub for employers looking to coordinate with our colleges and our programs and truly filling positions with talented, prepared employees and preparing for technological advancement, opportunities, and upskilling the current labor force. In partnership with our Center of Excellence for Labor Market Research, LARC's work is really truly guided and implemented with strategies to improve student employment outcomes and to reduce equity gaps. We work collaboratively together across the 19. We stretch from colleges and employers from South Bay to the San Fernando Valley. Given our size, it is really easy for programs to get lost and for our local communities or other communities not to be aware. And this is our opportunity to really be able to showcase and list over 200 plus innovative career technical education programs, support services, and truly welcoming environments at all of our community colleges. And the links that have been provided will take you to additional information about the LA 19 colleges, and the CCLA website will share with you the over 200 programs that are offered within the 19 community colleges. So bridging the gap. The industrial complex of LA County offers a wide variety of middle-skilled jobs that pay well and provide upward mobility for economic security. However, there is a shortage of qualified individuals to fill these jobs. This presents a challenge for both our residents and for our companies and employers who are looking for employees. The objective of LARC is to address the skills gap by increasing the availability of well-trained skilled workforce in LA County. And we see as really truly closing the demand gap, but also increasing economic and social mobility for LA County residents. Here is our governance model. And it might be too tiny for you to see, but the governance model just demonstrates the mechanism used by the consortium to truly share with you the elements of the framework that leads to the guiding principles, as well as for inputs and additional group principles for outputs. Woven into this governance model is technology advancements, as well as really being data-driven and focused on outcomes and results for our students. Responding to the needs of our region,
Overarching goals of the governance structure includes increased effectiveness, improved coordination, improved clarity, greater visibility with the state, and improved communication. And here is the LARC governance structure. As Salvatrice mentioned, it was with input from all stakeholders, and LARC's forward-facing governance model truly reflects the needs and desires of the region and enables the work of the consortium to be carried forward in a collaborative and transparent model. The CEO board consists of the 19 college presidents and the LACCD chancellor. Within the LA region, the CEO board is led by our two inspirational leaders, co-chairs Dr. Ender Jonas and Dr. Gallagher from LA City College. The CEO board serves primarily as the final approvers, the ones that consent, advise, and truly move the region forward. So their input is what we look for to redefine what we're doing with our regional projects as well. And as you look down the Workforce Council, Innovation Council, and the work group structure, I'll speak a little bit to the work group structure that's fairly new for the LA region. That was intentionally done to ensure that we have outcomes for our students as promised to the Chancellor's Office based on the Regional Coordination and Collaboration Grant. So for round 7 of our projects, our regional projects, which I'll talk about in a little bit, those were all coordinated within these work groups. And a lot of stakeholders, as well as our community college leaders and faculty, were engaged in that work to truly develop projects that would meet the economies, as they're listed there, and look at employer engagement, student access, and data to create projects around that. In terms of our Workforce Council serves as the endorsement and the decision-making body of the Governance Council. And the voting members of the Workforce Council are appointed by each of the CEOs at the 19 community colleges. And we also have representation from our Region 6, 7, and 8 CIOs, and we have alternate voting members from each of our colleges as well. And all of this information, if you scan the QR code, I'll go back to the first screen after I'm done, will take you to the PowerPoint with the links. So as Salvatrice mentioned, the Regional Collaboration and Coordination Grant is the grant we received as PCC fiscal agent to really expand work-based learning for students, increase student employment outcomes, and increase responsiveness to training needs for our employers. And this is all around our industry and priority sectors, which are listed there. And the efforts of the region is to meet the Chancellor's Office goals, which are those specific 3 areas, and really to collaborate with all partners, our local workforce boards, our K-12 partners, 4-year universities, to really bring forward CTE pathways and opportunities that meet the needs of our industry. And here's the fiscal budget that PCC and LARC is responsible for. So these are 2 categories, K-12 and the community college, and I'll start off with just speaking on the strong workforce for the community colleges. So the strong workforce initiative is to really truly create more and better CTE programs to increase social mobility and fuel regional economies with skilled workers. They're grouped into 7 areas: student success, career pathways, workforce data and outcomes, curriculum, CTE faculty, regional coordination, funding, and leading edge state economic development coordination. The strong workforce focuses on data-driven outcomes, along with an emphasis on innovation and risk-taking. In this way, colleges are more responsive to labor market conditions and student outcomes. So we receive funding for each round, and these are our new round 7 projects that were just approved. And we have all of the rest of our projects, regional projects, on the website. So this is regional work that a majority of our 19 community colleges engage in. And then we have our K-12 Strong Workforce Initiative, which is a legislative initiative that started in 2018-19, and that's where you see the round 1 projects listed, and that's from our website. And it is primarily an investment for the education pipeline that prepares students to fill jobs across the state. The goal for the K-12 Strong Workforce is for LEAs to work with community college partners to establish pathways that ensure students are aligned to workforce needs, as well as build career path skills in order to pursue their post-secondary path, whether that's a community college program, a four-year degree, trade, or the workforce. Additionally, I have listed Linda Bermudez as our director, but we also have K-12 pathway coordinators, 15 of them, that are assigned to community college districts, as well as LEAs who have been awarded these grants to help support and monitor the progress of their programs and really do that regional coordination and organization on their part. And we are super excited. Being a year old, I think we started this initiative in the fall when the Chancellor's Office announced that there were opportunities for grants for our region to truly enhance or expand or create new apprenticeship programs. So LA region thought, how can we do this? So we did an assessment of our LA 19 colleges and identified who had current existing programs, who was interested in expanding, and who was interested in just starting off. So we are excited that we have our Launch LA Apprenticeship Network officially on as of January. We had our first meeting, and that meeting information is on our website. And essentially the goal is to truly expand opportunities of apprenticeship within the region, but also to provide professional development and resources to our faculty and colleges who may need them. Apprenticeships are complex programs, and so a lot of resources and supports are needed, and we want to ensure that our colleges have that resource, and we were able to apply for multiple CAI grants across the 19 colleges, which we should hear from the Chancellor's Office on February 2nd about, so we're excited about that. And this is the LARC team. As you can see, a majority of the team are contracted positions, and some of our team is PCC LARC. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank Jesse and Crystal and really being able to work with them, and George, to be able to work with them to build the infrastructure of LARC and really organize for success could not have been done without them. And so as PCC is kind of the fiscal hub, we do collaborate together, and my staff is, some of them are on campus, most of them are off campus, and we're truly excited about this opportunity to build more and expand, and I just want to thank everyone for their grace and for their flexibility for welcoming us, and this is an exciting journey. So follow us on the social media platforms, and I'll go back to the first slide so you could scan the QR code, if I can. Guess not. All right. So. Yeah, I think the screen froze, so let me just. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, a big round of applause. Thank you. So I do encourage you to go and check out the resources, because there's so many great projects going on, and I couldn't be more proud, especially because this was kind of the vision of not of having LA be its own region. So to see it coming to fruition is really great. And so thank you to everybody from Economic and Workforce Development who makes it possible. I also want to big shout out also to Armene Dodarian, since CTE and Economic and Workforce Development, two sides of the same coin, as well as all of the deans who have Economic and Workforce Development in their area. Before we close, I do want to have a moment of silence to honor the victims from Saturday night shooting, which I believe is now 11 have passed away, and others, I think that leaves 7 who are still hospitalized. So please, a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who came. Thank you for all of your hard work, regardless of where you work at the college. I appreciate all of your hard work, and we'll see you next month at the end of February for a budget presentation that will reflect the governor's budget from that was released a couple of weeks ago, and the duking it out is already starting in Sacramento, and some of us will be up in Sacramento talking to legislators this weekend, so we'll have a lot to share. And again, the Healing Circle is down in the Circadian Room if anybody would like to go and be in community with folks. So again, thank you for coming.